These particular lessons on drafting look at how to write solid elements of an essay. This section focuses on writing a solid introduction. Your cue words for this section: introduction, purpose, hook, supporting points, thesis, organization. An introduction is the first paragraph in any paper. It has two purposes: to engage the reader and give the reader a roadmap to your paper. It also has three basic parts: the hook, your previewing supporting points, and your thesis statement. Introductions engage your reader by introducing your topic and making it sound interesting. They do this with a hook. We will talk more about what a hook is and how to make a hook in just a little bit. Introductions also give readers a roadmap. They establish the paper's organization. It tells the reader what they should expect from the paper, and this is done by introducing the supporting points. Your supporting points should be introduced in the exact same order that you plan to develop them in. Therefore, the reader should know what order your main points are going to be introduced in as they progress through the paper. Moving on to the parts of an introduction, you begin with the hook. The hook is an attention getter. This gets the reader's interest in your topic. It is not the same thing as the thesis statement and should not directly state the claim of your paper or the main idea. Instead, you should use one of the following methods to just introduce the general topic and get the reader's interest. You can introduce a cool fact. For example, on average, students in the United States write over 1,000 essays altogether every year. The citation at the end shows you Smith. Okay, we'll talk about citations some other time, but for right now, if you choose a cool fact, the first thing you put in your paper is a fact related to your topic. This fact is something that most people wouldn't know about it, and since it is a fact that you are citing from somewhere else, you do need a citation on the end of this. You could also choose a related quote. According to Willa Cather, most of the basic material a writer works with is acquired before the age of 15. Willa Cather being the person the quote is credited to. The quote itself related to basic writing, therefore relates to the topic in and of itself. Somewhat interesting that most people have acquired the basic material before the age of 15. Okay. You could also use a brief scenario, a setup, a situation that relates to what you're saying. For example, imagine this all too familiar scene. You have to write an essay for your English class and sit staring at the blank page in front of you as the minutes tick closer to your deadline with absolutely no idea what to write. Okay? Something that your reader can relate to, it generates a sense of tension, and you can move on to the rest of your topic from there. You also need to preview your supporting points. These will be the body paragraph topics of your paper. And this is where you provide the organization for your paper before your reader really gets into the development point. This means they should be listed in brief, 1 to 3 sentences. So if you have 3 body paragraph topics, I should not see more than 1 sentence per point. You can have closer to 1 to 2 sentences. The introduction is the only paragraph in a paper that can legitimately be no longer than 3 sentences. However, keep in mind, students, if you give me just a 3-sentence introduction, it had better be a dang good one. You should be listing your body paragraph topics in the same order that your paper will discuss them. So, whichever one's coming first is the first one you mention, so on and so forth. You're going to end this introduction with a thesis statement. This is the main idea of the paper. But more than just stating the topic, it's going to state the claim. What idea are you choosing to present and develop? That means this should be arguable. Okay? So a thesis statement is something that can be argued, attached to your topic. For example, writing an essay. Note that the underlining here shows the same as the underlining here. This is the topic of the essay. The claim is that this is one of the hardest but most important skills a student can learn in English. Therefore, altogether, writing an essay is one of the hardest but most important skills a student can learn in English is the thesis of this particular essay. Remember, again, with your thesis statement, this is the final sentence in the introduction. It will be the last thing your reader reads, not the first. Do not confuse it with the hook. This is a sample introduction paragraph. Imagine this all too familiar scene. You have to write an essay for your English class and sit staring at the blank page in front of you as the minutes tick closer to your deadline, with absolutely no idea what to write. Remembering a few basic facts from English classes will help you whip that essay out in no time. First, having a strong controlling idea to keep your essay focused. Second, remember that an essay's organization and structure can make the difference between an essay and a blob of words. Third, make your word choice and sentence fluency strong and engaging. Writing an essay is one of the hardest but most important skills a student can learn in English class. We see the attention-getting hook comes first, and then we have the body paragraph topics previewed in order. This maps out the paper for the reader. And the paragraph ends with the thesis of the paper, presenting a claim that this essay is going to then develop. Looking again at the passage, I want you to pause the video and list things that you notice about the sample introduction. Specifically, consider how does the author maintain fluency? What does this sample paragraph show you about how to write a good introduction paragraph? Here's the passage. Pause your video now and write down what you notice. Here are some things you might have noticed. That the writer uses a transition sentence like remembering a few basic facts from English classes will help you whip that essay out in no time to splice the space between the hook and previewing her points. She does not just jump from one to the other. She also uses transition words, first, second, and third, to keep an order in the reader's mind. This helps with fluency and assists the introduction paragraph in providing an organizational structure. Now, for some critical thinking. Use the notes you've taken to this point and the things you've learned in this lesson. Create a checklist for writing an introduction. You need to consider the following questions. What parts does an introduction need to have? What qualities or traits should these parts have? Specific order, specific parts, components. What does the introduction need to do for the paper? What other qualities does a good introduction need to have? You will make this checklist for an A quality introduction paper, and we will discuss this criteria as a class tomorrow. So, make the checklist and bring it with your notes for discussion. This is taking the place of your quiz grade, so make it good.